you report changes in your patient or trends to the provider. So it's really up to you to to be the first one to identify when something might be going wrong.
Literally,
Um,
their lives depend on you.
yes.
Hello, and welcome to the Patient to Professional podcast. My name is Dr. Nick Despotidis, and I've had the privilege of examining thousands of children through the years who are now adults. Today, my very special guest is Caitlyn Lee. Caitlyn has been my patient since she was 9 years old, over 20 years ago. And she's a registered nurse. And what I love about her when she comes into the exam room is she seems very, very passionate about the field she's in. So, Caitlyn, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Oh, you're so good. I love helping young nurses, so this is perfect.
So, how do you become a registered nurse? Now, someone is thinking about it. How do you become it? You're a high school student. Um, do most colleges offer a nursing program, and do you have to go to a college that has a specific program for nursing? Can you take the student through this path?
Yeah, I don't know how many colleges offer a nursing program, but I know there's quite a lot.
Okay, where did
Um,
you go to school?
I went to Rutgers.
And how many years was that?
But I went through their second degree program. So I was not a traditional nursing student.
Okay,
I did not go into college knowing that I wanted to be a nurse. I went into college thinking that I wanted to be a veterinarian. So I first went in majoring in animal science for my freshman year. Um, but then I didn't quite want to pigeonhole myself into a very specific field. Um, so I ended up changing my major to biology,
okay.
which was good because a lot of the prerequisites for nursing school require have the same requirements
Biology,
as like a
sure.
biology major. Um, so I graduated with a major in biology. I wasn't quite sure what I was like, I don't know if I still want to be a vet. I did volunteer for EMS, an ambulance group
Sure.
in college. So I did have some patient experience there. Because I was like, do I want to go vet? Do I want to be go human? Like, do I knew I kind of wanted to do something medical. Um, I dabbled in some aquarium work and then I got a job at the hospital as a patient care technician. And that is where I knew I wanted to be a nurse. I actually had no idea what nurses did before I had that job. But I realized that in that job, you're basically like a nurse's aide. And I worked very closely with all the nurses on the floor. And I got to see what they did, and I realized that is what I wanted to do.
So this was during a gap year. We'll call it a gap year
Yeah.
between
Mhm.
graduating and entering nursing school.
Yeah.
This is really important because I think all of us really don't know what we want, when we're so young. What did you see in a nurse or that profession while you were working there that said, this is what I want to do? What attribute did you like in a seeing a registered nurse in action that made you go that career path?
I didn't realize that they were there at the bedside 24/7 with their patients. I can't tell you what I thought that they did. I don't think I ever really thought about it. I just
Right,
knew that they worked in a hospital, but I
right.
didn't know that they were there at the bedside 24/7 doing patient care. And that's what I wanted to do.
So
The
you
doctors, they come in and out, but the nurses stay there all the time. And that's what I wanted to do.
So you wanted that kind of interpersonal relationship, the lasting one. That's what you saw. I'm going to
Yes.
care for them 24/7 as long as
Yeah.
I'm on shift. And you really wanted that,
Yes. I
right?
really wanted to be there, like for them. Like I wanted to be that person for them.
That's amazing.
Um,
That's great. That's great. So what
yeah.
did you do? You applied to a master's program. What's the next step for someone who's graduated college now has decided, yes, nursing is the way to go? What what decision did you make next?
So there are accelerated nursing programs for people exactly like me who who went through college and
Sure.
didn't realize that they wanted to be a nurse, and now they do. So these are typically 14 to 16-month accelerated programs. They're very intense. You usually cannot work during these programs. I mean, at one point, like in my third or fourth semester, I was either in school or in clinical like 6 days a week. So it's it's basically you already had your prerequisites done,
Right.
and you're just doing the nursing portion of the nursing program. So like for a traditional 4-year nursing program, like if you went into college knowing that you wanted to be a nurse and you were accepted into their nursing program, you would get the basically prerequisites done, like biology, I don't know if there's physics,
Chemistry,
yeah.
whatever. Yep.
And then in your last like 2 years, I think you move into like clinicals and like foundations of nursing,
Right.
pharmacology, whatever. Whereas the accelerator program is just that nursing portion.
Got it.
So, mhm.
So where did you go for that accelerated 16-month program? Did you
Rutgers.
go to Rutgers? So you
Yeah.
said, okay, great, you applied. Did you need to take any standardized testing to get in, GRE or anything like that, or you just applied?
Nope. Nope. Every nursing program is different, but none of them require a standardized test, which was a big pro for me because
Yep.
I felt like I was burnt out after college and I did not want to study for another test.
I've
So,
heard
which is
that
like,
over and over again,
yeah.
over and over again. I'm interested in healthcare. I love to be involved in healthcare, but I am burnt out with the hoops that I have to jump through, the SAT, MCAT, or other types of standardized tests. I've heard that several times.
Yeah, it was a big like I was thinking about going into PA school, physician assistant, but I was like, I really, really don't want to take the GRE.
Yeah,
I really, really
yeah,
don't want to study for the GRE. I really, really don't want to have to do that again. And I found that like nursing, you didn't have to take a standardized test to get in. What they did require was an essay, um, your transcripts, and that's really it. I mean, there's a minimum GPA. I believe it was like 3.2 or 3.4. I can't remember.
sure.
Um, and I think what really helped my application was my healthcare experience. So I
Yeah, yep,
volunteered
yep.
for EMT, like a ambulance squad, and then I also was a patient care technician. So that I think they loved.
Yeah,
Um, what was I gonna say? I can't remember, but I'm sure
it's
it'll come
okay.
up
It'll come back to you.
again.
So this is very interesting. And do nurses normally leave schooling, finish schooling with a lot of debt? Because I hear this from veterinarians and physicians that the debt they graduate with is just overwhelming. It's daunting, and no matter how much they make in their field, they find it extremely difficult to repay this debt. The average nursing student, do you have any idea how much debt they finish school with?
It really depends on the program that you go to. There were some programs that were like, even for an accelerated program, it was like 80 to like $110,000. Like I think that was NYU.
Okay,
Rutgers, I think the accelerated program was, I think it was like 30 to 40 at the time when I went. But I am very fortunate to have parents who paid for my schooling, so I didn't have
yeah.
to deal with the debt afterwards.
Well, you are
And
fortunate, but you've earned that also. I mean, you stayed in state, which really helped your parents and helped you,
yes.
it sounds like. I mean,
Yeah.
Rutgers is an in-state college for you and a very good one, in fact. So,
Yeah.
and if I could ask you, what does the average registered nurse make? Like a range? I know it's a wide
Yeah,
range,
sure.
but what do they,
Um,
give me that range.
yeah. Before I get into that, I just wanted to say that there
Sure.
are a lot of scholarships to look at when you're in
Oh,
school because there's a
okay.
lot of money sitting around doing absolutely nothing because they have no one to give it to. You just have to
Wow.
look for those scholarships. Yeah. There
That's
were a
within
lot
once
of
you're
scholarships.
in the school, once you're in the nursing program?
Yeah, yeah. There's like a number of scholarships. I even got some scholarships. I think one of them was like you have to dig around. But they exist. There was like one very specialized, like it was like woman in science for this like I forget what organization it was. I think it was like um either way, very specific. And they're just like we have no one to give this money to. Like
Well, that's very helpful
yeah.
because if you dig deep enough, there is some assistance, at least
Yeah.
possibly.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then income. When they get out, what does the average RN make on average? Like a big range,
Yeah.
give me.
So luckily, the New Jersey, New York, both of those states are pretty high paying. The highest paid states, I believe, are definitely California.
Hmm.
And I think New York is second, and then I think New Jersey, maybe the Pacific Northwest, like Washington, but New Jersey, I mean, here I make decently. Like I think I made 99K last year. Um, Nurses in the South make a lot less. They make like 35 an hour. I make 47 an hour. Nurses in California make like 60 plus an hour. Um, and nurses in New York, I believe, also make closer to 60.
And well
It's
earned, by the way, well earned. Because,
it's
like you said, well earned. So, someone graduating can expect to make somewhere between $50 or a little bit less, depending on where the demographic is.
yeah, I would say average probably somewhere 35 to 40
Okay,
an hour.
very good.
Yeah.
So, high school now.
Hmm.
Were you thinking health profession at that time, or did that evolve in college?
No, I mean I wanted to be a vet since first grade. Um,
Wow.
yeah. I had this fixation on being a vet since first grade. I knew I wanted to be a vet the whole time. But honestly, in high school, for my high schoolers, I would just say it's not that serious. Kind of like don't let like your education consume your life. Like you're still a kid and I like enjoy being a kid. Because for me, I mean, ultimately I was very I was a good like I was a good student. I think I graduated um high school with a I graduated like in the top 10% of my class. Um
In a very competitive school district, a very competitive school district. Yes.
Um, and I went through college like with the same like very in my studies. But that doesn't mean I didn't do like a lot of extracurricular stuff as well. Um, but I mean, ultimately, I ended up going for a second degree program. So like grades are important, but like be a kid too.
It's easy to say, but I've heard this advice time and time again
Yeah.
is learn to make time for fun.
Yeah.
And that's the
Um,
advice you would give yourself now. You're probably around 29 years old or so. Your younger self, if you could talk to yourself when you were about 16, 17, would you say, Caitlyn, just remember to keep having fun? Would that be the advice
Yeah,
you
I
give
remember
yourself?
being like stressed. There's a lot of like peer pressure related stress that happens in high school that like is not an issue in college as much. Especially when you go to a college like Rutgers that has like I don't know how many they have. I when I went it was like 60,000 plus students. Like
Wow.
it's such a large school. In high school there's a lot of cliques and it's very easy to like get not like in it, but like there's so much drama that happens in the high school that is like not an issue in college. And just like don't worry about that because it's not going
There's
to
a
matter.
relief ahead, in other words. There's relief
Yeah.
ahead. If you fight
Yeah.
through this kind of click, this kind of like overwhelming need to prove yourself,
Yeah, fit in.
fit
Like
in,
it doesn't matter. It's not that
it doesn't matter
serious.
because once you graduate high school, you just are one of among thousands and you could
Yeah.
be yourself. You could finally
Yeah.
be yourself.
I loved Rutgers because there are so many different there's so much diversity that you run into, and it's so much easier to just be you and find your people. Um, and yeah, like I loved Rutgers. I loved my time
Yeah.
at Rutgers.
Yep.
Um, I had a lot of fun, as well as like, I mean, the studying was very hard, and I do have to say, like, I know you're probably gonna ask about like resources, but um, take care of your mental health, because a lot of my friends and myself included dealt with mental health issues
Sure.
in college. And that's something that I had noticed, for myself. Really intense schooling tends to bring my mental health down.
Yep.
But there are resources on campus, like CAPS, where you are able to see a therapist, and they're able to help you, um, if you feel like you're spiraling. And I know some of my friends even had to take a break, like off a semester, because it's just college is hard.
It is.
I mean, you don't quite have that peer pressure, like just like feeling the need to fit in as much, but there are other pressures like um, passing your classes. Some of the professors are really hard, and then
Yes.
like what you're gonna do with your life.
Yep.
I
That's the
know
biggest one. That's,
I was
yeah.
very lucky to know what I wanted to do for the most part. But I know there's a lot of people who just aren't sure, and I know that's very stressful because I mean I did experience that for like a tiny bit where I was like in between, like graduated college, but wasn't sure what I wanted to do, and then went into my nursing print. That little part that was like stressful enough. But so I can't even imagine like for people who like I grew up knowing that I wanted to be a vet. For people who like grew up not knowing like what they want to do at all, like that must be very stressful. Um, and
It
trying to
is,
meet like
but you know,
parents'
and that's what this
expectations.
podcast is about. And that's why I appreciate you so much because it is stressful. For you, it was stressful because you knew what you wanted, but the path is hard and long and filled with tests and academic achievements. For the person that's not sure what they want and think what they want, but change their mind, that's equally stressful because you feel I should know what I want. Everybody has their life together,
Mm-hmm.
seemingly
Mm-hmm.
has their
Mm-hmm.
life together. Yeah, and your parents are anxiously waiting for you to major in something and decide
Yes.
on a career. So
Mm-hmm.
that is why I took this podcast. And I feel your interview today, although we could talk on, is so vitally important because you're so honest that your path was not linear. I don't know if anybody's is. And you achieved a lot working really hard. I've known you again since you were in fourth grade. And I know how goal oriented you are, and I know how hard you have been on yourself. And that has helped you realize these tremendous accomplishments. And you're so young, there's so much ahead of you, but yet you always worked hard to balance your life, which was not easy. And I
Mm-hmm.
really appreciate you coming on and sharing this with everyone, being so vulnerable because
Mm-hmm.
we don't have that anymore. Everybody's like, look at me, I'm the best, I'm the happiest, I'm the most successful. And
Especially with social media.
yes,
Hmm.
yes. And for someone like yourself and so many other people I've interviewed to say, you know what, I really felt unsure of myself. You know, the
Hmm.
imposter syndrome comes up a lot in these
Hmm.
interviews and where I really didn't know what I wanted, but I kept at it and I didn't give
Hmm.
up and I took a gap year if I needed. And you epitomize that.
Hmm.
So I really thank you for coming on. I thank you for your honesty. And I'm telling you, I've known you for 20 years and I
Hmm.
hope to know you for the next 20. You're going to achieve much better things. I see you mastering your craft and teaching others. But what you're teaching people, Caitlyn, which you may or may not realize, besides all the technical, is your compassion. You are tremendously compassionate, empathetic individual. And that's probably what drove you to this profession. And I think that's what you're going to teach other nurses. They're going to see you and say, Mrs. Lee, that's what I want to be. So
Yeah,
good
I mean,
luck. Go
thank
ahead.
you.
Go
No, you,
ahead. Say
like you
it.
can't be a nurse without being compassionate.
Yep.
There are some people who go. I've met some people who go into this profession for the money.
Yes.
That's not. It's just simply not going to cut it. You have to enjoy what you do because at the end of the day, there are people's lives in your hands. There are people who not even if their lives, even if they're not critically ill, they're in a hospital and
That's right.
this is really scary for them.
Yep.
You have to be there for them.
Yep. And sometimes maybe we could close on this is you don't get a thank you in return. I would say most times you don't. The thank you has to be within. I know for myself, and especially for you, some patients, I'm sure, thank you from the bottom of their heart, no pun intended. But yet there's many that just can't show their appreciation. But yet you have to have faith in yourself to say, I've done the best I can. I did a good job. I probably
Yeah.
saved this person's life
Hmm.
mentally or physically or both. And they may never appreciate, but I know that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's certainly a challenge in this I feel like especially after the pandemic,
Yes.
you also have patients who question everything that you do or
Yes, I know.
family that question
Oh, I
everything
know
that you
that.
do.
I know.
So you have to understand where they're coming from, understand that their distrust in the healthcare setting, and you still have to be the best nurse that you can be for them.
And to that end, you really are. So thank you so much, Caitlin. And I wish you the best of luck. I know you're going to do wonderfully. I really do think you help so many, even if they decide not to go into nursing, with your vulnerability, your honesty, your empathy. So I want to thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Good luck to everyone.
Yes. And with that, everyone, have a great day. Until next time, live your life the best you can. Thank you. Welcome to Patient to Professional. I'm Dr. Nick Despotidis. And in this podcast, I sit down with my current and former patients, people I've known since childhood, to talk about their careers, the challenges they faced, and the choices that shape their lives. I've always been intrigued by patients sharing their story with me in the exam room, and I came up with the idea of this podcast to share these gems with my current patients because I feel strongly parents and students can benefit from their peers' experience.